Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching me today. My name is Peter. Welcome back to Invest with Peter. So if you're seeing me for the first time, please subscribe to the channel, like, and put your comment down below. I bring this information every week, once or twice a week. So I talk about finance, I talk a bit about politics, and I talk on how government policies can affect, our investments. And sometimes I talk about the projection of the market and all that stuff. I have a podcast as well. So if you want to have a look at my podcast or listen to my podcast, just go to the description and you're going to see it. So today I'll be talking about, Elon Musk issue with the United States government. I'll be talking about UK government policies. I'll be talking about UK's economic crisis and political issues around who's the next prime minister and who's probably going to be the next prime minister. And I'll be talking about the midterm election in the United States that's probably going to affect the market at this point, and what I think is going to happen with the way things are going at this level. So straight away, let's go to the point. So now, last week, Elon Musk has always been on the news for whether the good thing or the bad thing, whether you like him or you hate him, you have your opinion about this guy. So it was like, okay, Twitter deal is on and off. He's not ready to go ahead with the Twitter deal, but he's stuck now. He's choked on this deal. He's talking about he's paying too much for this Twitter deal, but he hasn't got any way out at this point. So even if you want to leave now, he's going to pay billions of dollars to Twitter just to get out of this deal. So he's stuck in it and all that stuff. So that is why you see Tesla stock being all over the place. And that's why you see people thinking, well, what's this guy on about? Why is he always putting himself in trouble? And a couple of weeks ago, he actually put it on his Twitter that, if you want, what do you think about, the liberated areas in Ukraine, the Kherson, Zaporizhia, Donetsk, and all these places? People voted to be with the Russian in that angle, in that place. So what do you think? Should Russia take the whole place, or maybe they should give it back to Ukraine? And people voted like, well, let the will of the people go ahead. If people there want to be Russian, let them be. But this is not been, a good thing for Ukrainian president. It was like, what kind of Elon Musk are we dealing with? Is he Elon Musk with the Ukraine, or Elon with the Russian people? So he's always been on the news, and of recent he said, well, because from day one of this war, this guy Elon Musk has been providing the Internet of Things for the Ukrainians because everything went dark after the invasion. So this guy provided internet for them through Starlink, and people have been using it. Even at the war front, they use all this GPS equipment that they use to fire missiles and all that is being used through the Starlink internet.
For want of a better expression. And Musk said in his tweet, we're just following his recommendation. That led to a wide range of media coverage and suggestions that actually Elon Musk might pull support, either funding support or literally operational support for Starlink in the country. And we know, as you said, Em, that the Pentagon say, as of Friday, they're engaged with SpaceX over the broad issue of Starlink, and the Pentagon saying that they'd have other issues. But for SpaceX, this is very much an issue of cost in terms of how Starlink's operating in that country.
DJ, how crucial is Starlink to Ukraine's defenses?
Emily, I think it's central to their defenses. If you think about, first of all, their ability to wage war, you think about how much they have integrated Western military gear into their operations. Well, the communications is essential as well. And one of the things the Ukrainians have done much better than the Russians is actually coordinate their defense and offense across a very, very long a line of contact. And so this is essential for coordination. It's essential for targeting and using the Western technology very well. If you think about a lot of this area, it's very rural, it's spread out. They're very great distances, so traditional radios might not work. As we know, the Russians have knocked out so much infrastructure. So this is crucial. And it's actually a very important leveraging factor of leveraging all this other assistance that the West is giving.
Can you give us an idea, DJ, how much these satellites cost to manage, and whether that resonates with what Elon Musk has said here?
Right. There's a lot of just kind of debate around the numbers. And as we saw with the Twitter deal, kind of playing loose with numbers around what is real and what is not real in the Twitterverse. So I think we do have to take these numbers with a grain of salt. Generally speaking, if you look at what has been deployed in the field already that we know is about 12,000 units, has cost probably around 80 million to 100 million. So that number that he has put out is not too bad. I mean, when you get to these issues around, he's raised the issue of just maintaining the satellite network and cybersecurity. Well, that's a cost of doing business as a big global firm. So I'm a little bit less. I'm a little bit more skeptical of that. I think another thing we need to pay attention to, if you're looking at the cost side, is obviously the Ukrainians have asked for much more in terms of these units on the ground, the transmitter units. I mean, do they need them all? Will they get them all? So that goes into, say, the $400 million.
So without this internet, all these weapons are not going to work. All these, super tech weaponry is not going to do anything. So, and this guy said, well, I've been providing these for the last 8 months now. It's high time US government take over from here. I don't see myself going forward with this thing. And at this point, because this war is probably going to dry down everything and that. So he's not really happy with the way things are going. And people are questioning him. Why are you getting yourself involved in geopolitical issues? See billionaires who owns Apple, Tim Cook, and all these, all the CEOs, they don't get themselves involved in geopolitical politics and all that. But Elon Musk always have opinion on something. So it was like, well, I provided this and that. I'm not going to go ahead with this. And again, last week, he said, well, it's going to be laying off 75% of Twitter workers. And the US government was like, yep, I think we've had enough of this guy. We need to have a national security review on Elon Musk individual deals. And when it gets to this level, somebody is in trouble. I'm not saying he's in trouble, but when US government is digging into your stuff, that means you are fighting the Fed. And when you're fighting the Fed, you get burnt at some point at different levels. If you're not a politician, you can't fight these people, especially if you have a business or entrepreneur, you can't fight these people because they can just bring out a policy that's going to affect your business and go down the drain. And that's why people like us who are investing in Tesla and all that stuff, we need to be very careful at this point and just see where things are going, because they're going to look at this guy, they're going to look at him medical level, they're going to look at him medically, that is he medically fit to take, a company like this forward? Is he okay psychologically? Has he not done any dodgy deals? What is he on about? What's his next move? How much is going in his bank? How much is owing banks? And these are the things they're going to start digging about this guy. And we don't want, for us who are Elon Musk supporters, we don't want things like that. We don't want him to be on the radar of the United States. So, but that's the way things are going at this point. So I have Tesla stocks. I'm not buying any more for now. I'll be holding on to the one I've got, and I'll be watching closely. So let's talk about another thing. All right. So United Kingdom has been on the news for the negative side of it, like what kind of politics they're playing in United Kingdom. Even United States citizens, they were like, who is actually in the government? Who is controlling the government? Who is in charge now? And because we have a couple of people coming out, we came from Bojo to Liss Truss, from Liss Truss now going to Rishi Sunak. So these are the things, in parliamentary system of government, there's always been this issue that somebody will be there today and probably tomorrow morning might not be there anymore. Or sometimes you have somebody in the government for 10 years just because he has is popular within he's a member of the MPs, he's popular, they keep him there because parliamentary system of government, that means everything needs to be deliberated. You have two parties. We have Labour and Conservative. So if Conservative wants to hold on to power, they can hold on to power and keep whatever they want to keep there. Keep changing the Prime Minister as they like, in as much the Prime Minister they're producing have the majority of the MPs in the House. So these are the things. It's very complicated, but for us living in UK, we understand how it works. So now Rishi Sunak is in front line and is the guy, someone like Rishi Sunak who has got, economic background, who has, worked with governments, in terms of, he was previously the chancellor when Bojo was in government, and this guy's worked with Goldman Sachs, so he knows how to find his way around government policies, financial policies, to make UK, look, investable at this point, because so many investors are like, well, UK is now uninvestable, we can't stay in UK and invest, and that's why you see pound sterling went the lowest since 1981. Has been a bad news for investors, for forex traders, and all these people around that. So that's why you have inflation 10%, 10 point something percent. UK had last week, it came out 10.3 or so, 10.4% inflation last month. That is so bad for the economy. And going from here now, there's no way UK will probably avoid a recession at this point. So government now have to come on board, put their hand on deck, and go through the policies that needs to be done and all that stuff. But I'll be talking about, Rishi Sunak. His plan has always been very pragmatic. He said Britain needs to tame the inflation at this point. That's what he said. He said Britain needs to tame the inflation first and ensure public, finance were sustainable, and before cutting taxes, because he said people, Liss Truss was trying to cut taxes for the rich, but this guy said, no, we ain't cutting any tax. The tax remain the same. We'll rather tax the rich people more to get the economy, going forward. And he said, we need to stimulate growth. That means he wants to attract, investors from outside United Kingdom. And he was, Rishi Sunak he's a Brexiter, because he actually lobbied for Brexit during that time. And also, he thinks, there's no need for Britain to be part of EU anymore, that Britain can depend on its own policy rather than listening to people from Brussels at this point. So he's a pure core Brexiter. So this guy, he's got his own policy. I'm going to read a bit about it, what he thinks should be done, and what he's bringing to the table, his own government policies. He said he want to crack down on crime. He wants UK to be, I think you have less of crime around the street, and people should be able to sleep, with their two eyes closed in their houses. So he said he's probably going to scrap BBC license. He also talked about the energy bill. He said energy, he wants to create more jobs around energy. He wants UK to be energy dependent. He doesn't want us to be dependent on this country, that country. And he believes in offshore, wind energy. So he said he's not going to put it in the United Kingdom. He's going to put it somewhere and just, get wind energy just to supply all the needs, that instead of us depending on one country that keep, inflating the price of energy there and there. And you see what happened between, Ukraine and Russia, and Europe and Russia, all this energy crisis and all that stuff. So he said he believes that a biological man should not be competing with a biological woman. If you're born a man, you compete in a man's category sport. If you are born a woman, you compete in a women sport category. So he doesn't believe cross-changing of sex and all that stuff. If somebody who was born a man will be competing in a women's sport and all that stuff. So these are his policies, not me. These are his policies, are what he said he's going to do. And also he talk about the financial part. He said he actually warned us during when he was, having debate with Liss Truss, that Liss Truss policy is going to put UK face in the mud. And now we see it about ourselves. We said it, that these guys warned us about this woman, that Liss Truss cannot be trusted at this point. So we saw everything. Liss Truss is gone after 6 weeks, the shortest United Kingdom Prime Minister. So now I think the public are rallying around Rishi Sunak, and they believe he's the next Prime Minister, and he will backing him. So if you have majority backing from the House, it's the Prime Minister. So let's leave that for now. Let's talk about the midterm election. Midterm election is coming in the United States next month, November. And the projection, the bookies were saying the power is going to change hand in the House, where the Republicans are going to take most of the seats, and that means policy is going to change, which is going to reflect in the market, because market always want stability and always shy away or run away from uncertainty. Whenever there's uncertainty about government policies, market always tank. But at this point now, if Republican eventually sweep the House, that means most of the policies Biden is bringing out, this and that, is probably going to come to a halt because most of the stuff he will send to the House will not be signed because the Republicans are not going to agree to them, and markets just want everything to be quiet. Market always want people to shut up their mouth, carry on, do your daily job, and that's it. So that will probably put up stability to the volatility that we're having at this point if Republicans sweep the House. And most of the polls that were out, people are actually backing Republican because they believe, economy always do well when Republican actually are in power. So we're probably going to see that if Republican were able to take over the House, maybe the lower house or the Senate and all that stuff. And also last week was one of the Republican member said, well, if Republican eventually sweep out the House, that means Ukraine should, and all the funds that are being funneled to Ukraine is going to be limited. And Ukrainian president was so shocked that he actually spoke to these people a couple of months ago, and they said they're going to back him regardless of who is in government. But with the look of things, it's like Republicans are probably not going to be funding Ukrainian war at this point, which might probably send a signal to Russia that, well, the fund is getting, the tab is going to get closed, and Europeans are going to get weary of the war, and that will be the end of the war. So with these things, I think we still have some uncertainty in the future about this war, and with the way Saudis are behaving as well now, regardless of what's happening, supporting the energy OPEC plus, members. So it's gonna be a bit tricky going forward from here. But I think at some point this thing has to come to an end, and we're gonna see market rally very soon at some point, because regardless of what's been happening. And also, let me bring this quickly. There's been a rumor around the FOMC members that the next, rate around December, not in November 1, the December rate is probably going to be lesser, because looking at the projection of the CPI, they think and they believe the CPI has peaked, consumer price index, inflation has peaked already. So they rather start reducing the rate, they are raising the rate. So we should be expecting maybe half a base point or a quarter of a base point at this point. So, well, that's why market rally on Friday a little bit, because of that rumor that's going around. So maybe we still believe November rate is going to be 75 basis point. December might be 50 basis point or 25 basis point going forward from here. All right, guys, that's all the information I've got for you today. And this week, there's going to be a lot of earnings that's going to be reported. We have Microsoft's going to be reporting, Apple is going to be reporting, Amazon is going to be reporting, Meta, Facebook is going to be reporting as well. So this is probably going to be the caveat we need to look at this week, and that's what's going to drive the market. If they come out with good report, which I doubt, well, if they come out with a good report, that means market is going to rally going forward. But if not, we're going to see a bit of volatility this week, and it's going to close the market for October with a bit of volatility. Though it's been good for a week now, but we're going to see how it goes. But I believe Microsoft, has always been projecting there's crisis, economic crisis, inflation, and all that stuff. So Microsoft has been warning us. Amazon may probably do well. Microsoft, Meta, Facebook, you don't expect Facebook to report, because the category of Meta, Facebook at this point. So you don't expect Facebook to report better than expected earnings. So at this point, we're going to see what's going to happen this week. But that's the end of my rant today. I'll see you on the next one. Please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.